right, if Jesus is who he says he is, then this is everything.
Right.
And
Okay.
One soul is worth everything.
Amen. Welcome to Vox Pauli, conversations with people past and present at St. Paul's University Catholic Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Welcome, Kennedy Peters. How are you?
I am doing very well.
Now, you are the director of marketing here at St. Paul's and the executive producer of Vox Pauli.
That is true.
Yeah. How's that experience been for you?
Oh, it's been awesome to get to sit in. Yes.
Do tell.
Yes. Well, you came to me with this idea last
Sidebar.
year.
People said that they thought this was my midlife crisis. Did you think it was my midlife crisis when I proposed this to you?
No, I was honestly surprised we didn't start it sooner.
Fair enough.
You're such a great interviewer.
Oh, I ask good questions.
Yes.
People say that. Yeah, that's
yes.
good. So, now, you've spent not quite a year recording numerous interviews, but long before that, you yourself were an incoming freshman at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. What year did you arrive at the university?
I arrived here in 2019.
2019. Wow, it's a long time ago. It's not that long ago. It's, what, 5.5 years ago? And you always wanted to be a Badger?
Yes, it is very much a family legacy, expectation.
You are a legacy child.
Yes.
What is the legacy?
Well, my dad went to vet school here, and he fell in love. And so then our entire lives we came down to Madison, going to games, just coming to visit the city. And then when it was time for my older sisters to come to college, they were excited, but also expected to come to Madison.
Right.
And the same with me, but I wouldn't have had it.
It's nice to be excited about the same thing that mom and dad are excited about.
Yeah.
How many older sisters do you have come here?
2 older sisters.
2. Are you the baby of the family?
I'm the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also the favorite.
I wouldn't say that.
You can't say that.
I can't. Yeah. They love us all equally.
Right, we get it. They love everyone equally, etc. All that kind of stuff. I come from a family like that too. They love everyone equally, but we know. Anyways, you had sisters here when you arrived?
I had one sister here, and then my oldest sister had just left.
Okay. And you're raised in a practicing family?
Yeah.
Where?
In a little town called Seymour, Wisconsin.
Seymour, Wisconsin, which is in the
Fox Valley.
Fox River Valley. Shout out to all of the alumni and all the people we love up in the Fox River Valley at Seymour High School.
Yes.
What was great about growing up in Seymour?
It was just the perfect sized town.
Yeah.
It was a D2 school. 2 towns were really close to each other, Seymour and Freedom, and I kind of grew up going to both of them because my mom's family is from Freedom. And they were just great, sized towns. You grew up in small town America, but also they're big enough that we had great opportunities educationally and sports-wise. It's just, I had an idyllic childhood.
So you had a great childhood, going to Mass, learn how to pray a little bit?
Yeah. Yep.
Learning the faith or kind of basic stuff?
Learning the faith, my mom was one of the religious education teachers.
Okay.
So she took her role seriously, and her and my dad both did in teaching us.
So you knew things, you had sisters here, you landed at UW-Madison.
Yes.
And you're fired up to come to St. Paul's. You're like, you know what? My sisters do that. I'm doing what was that like?
I was pretty fired up because my oldest sister, who I really look up to, I look up to both of them, but especially my oldest sister, she was super involved here, lived in the building the first year.
She is a daughter of Bernadette, a princess of Bernadette.
That she is. The inaugural group.
She's from the opening class. Wow.
And so when she came to college, she got involved with St. Paul's. And then when she would come home during her breaks, she would keep up her faith life.
Sure.
And it would invite me to attend Tuesday night daily mass with her.
Oh.
And I, of course, said yes because I thought she was the coolest person.
You admired her a great deal.
Yes. Yep. And she's 6 years older than me, so there's a big enough gap there that, it was something I really looked forward to when she would come home and take the time to do it with me. And then coming to Madison, I was like, okay, this is where she found her great friends and found this faith thing that I thought was, admirable.
Yeah.
That was very admirable.
So you show up and you're a known quantity because everyone's looking to meet the newest daughter of the House of Peters, or?
Yes, I was definitely known.
Did your sister was here? She reached out to you. Who else? What kind of friends did you make? Do you come before figs are a thing, or are you?
Yes.
Okay, so you predate figs, but of course you meet and probably already known to my great predecessor, Father Eric Nielsen. Is that true?
Yes, I did get to meet him.
He pointed you out right away.
No, he did. He knew I was a Peters,
right,
from the get-go. Me and my sister look a great deal alike, and then, but nothing in particular. Father Luke Seisey, though, knew both my older sisters, and he was pretty close with both of them.
Okay.
So on freshman getaway, he talked with me for
a good while.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course the vicar much more in tune with the freshman getaway maybe than the pastor.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So what's the moment where St. Paul's becomes, you would say, your own? Is it your freshman year, or does it take a little to go from being a Peters daughter? My guess is you had to deal with being a daughter of the Peters family for some years in your life and distinguishing yourself. Has that been a thing?
Yeah, they were definitely grouped together, but we're different enough that I haven't had too much to...
People know who you are. You're not just so-and-so's little sister.
And when I am their little sister, it's a good thing to be.
They leave it good. It's like, okay, that's helpful. But yeah, at St. Paul's, did you find something that, okay, now it's my own. Now I'm doing my own thing. I have my own... Was there a moment of that or a process of that?
No, I think it was pretty gradual. My freshman year, just getting involved, doing the things that I knew. So going to daily mass, met some good friends, spent a lot of time with them. Came here a lot. I lived in Chadbourne.
Just across the way. And by the time you get here, the new building has been operating for a little bit, so they kind of know what to do with it.
Yes, it's smooth. It's going well. But then we get sent home for COVID.
COVID hits.
Yes.
You've established friendships. Are you getting into like all the plan of life and making resolutions and being in a small group? Has that already happened, or it's not quite?
Yes, it is begun. So I was in a small group, and then my closest friend that I made freshman year was Susie Sweetlick, whose family is very well versed in the plan of life. And so just by the virtue of being around her.
The Sweetlicks know a lot of the St. Paul's lingo before they even arrive.
Exactly. So she shared a lot of that with me, which then was a great blessing during COVID and being home.
So you go home and you kind of know how to keep your rhythm of life. What are you doing to stay in touch with your friends? Or that's not happening so much?
So I'm at home, can't see anyone. I would call. So Susie and I would call. Still in touch with a lot of my high school friends, especially my freshman year. So could kind of see them, kind of not. But yeah, mostly just like calling and texting.
So COVID's kind of okay because home's a nice place. You've got a rhythm of the spiritual life. And you've already declared your major. You're already humming along in the university, or how's that looking?
Yep. I was direct admit to the School of Business, so just kind of went right into it.
You're one of the business school girls, right?
Yes.
We love the business school girls a lot. The business school has a certain reputation.
It does.
Is it earned? Or
yeah.
It's a bit unfair? Oh, no.
It's pretty accurate, yeah.
I try to defend the business school reputation, then I meet the guys here who go to the business school. I'm like, nope, yeah, that's how they are. That's what they're like. I sat with a bunch of business school guys at Newman dinner this past week, and I'm like, these are great fellows, but they hit every stereotype.
Yep.
So did you like groove and fit in with those? Because business school is heavily male, is it not? Or that's not true?
Yep.
All right.
Mostly male. And
you kind of like, you can run with those boys, you can, or like whatever, let them do their thing, I'll do my thing.
Yeah, I would say I could run with them. Growing up, was friends with a lot of guys, so it's pretty smooth.
And you loved it? Or it's like, this is what I do, but I'm really falling in love with our Lord and the apostolate at St. Paul's. How's that trend line happening? Yeah,
I was getting more and more involved with St. Paul's, especially sophomore year. St. Paul's was like the only thing that was open to us.
Right.
So you worked with your friends in the business school, and you had surface level relationships with them, but it was really here at St. Paul's that, number one, we could spend actual time because the building was open, and we just had the opportunity to encounter others. And then because you share a basis of faith and morals, I felt like it was much easier to really have true friendships.
That's said over and over, that this is a place where you can have authentic friendships. I just find it fascinating how many people come here who are not Catholic or not religious who say that same kind of thing as well. So did you have the experience with COVID where a lot of people who didn't share the faith were also coming around St. Paul's?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was great. It was an opportunity for them, I think, to see a little bit of the truth through the love of good friends and the community, and really the culture of St. Paul's was just a really good opportunity for people to encounter love in the truest sense of the word, and that always points them towards Christ, which is the goal.
Amen. Amen. So as you're cresting into your upper class years, are you in the whole small group Bible study world, or are you a little adjacent to that world?
I was in that world.
Who recruits you in or invites you in? Recruits is a difficult word, we'd say. Invites into.
So I was in a Bible study since my freshman year, same Bible study.
There's no fix. How's that happen? What did that... now we've got like a system for it.
Yeah, just like the signing up through the undergrad registration form.
And you just knew you should do it, or you're like, I want to do this? Or there's no real difference in those things?
Yeah, no real difference in those things.
That's nice.
And then,
so you get connected.
Yeah, get connected. In a little Bible study, and then that one continued throughout. But then there's turnover. The leader graduated,
right?
And then we were with Focus Missionary, but she only stayed for a year. Okay. But then Olivia, now Trafton, showed up.
Olivia Ring, Focus team director. Now married to Chris Trafton, one of the legacy families of St. Paul. Also our senior director of advancement here. So she leads your Bible study.
Yeah, and...
Your senior year.
My junior year, but my last... I was graduating, so my last year.
I didn't know... You're a 3-year grad... You're the first. Yes. Or an early one of these, right? So you graduate after your junior year, and she gets you pretty fired up of the small group world, or...
Yeah, so... Like I said, I was very involved in St. Paul's, hospitality, daily mass, was coming to morning prayer now, and she was the first one who introduced me to the idea of discipleship.
Right.
And she knew that I was very involved, so we had one discipleship, and then I think the second discipleship, she had me discipling other people, because it just wasn't something, we were juniors already, it wasn't something that was...
Oh, she realized, we don't have time for you to sit around and learn how to do this, just do this.
Yes, so...
Well, that's awesome.
So then I was discipling 2 girls, and then it was winter retreat, and we had some girls coming who Olivia just said, hey, like, I know you're going to be their small group leader on winter retreat. Just like try and become friends with them. And I was like, great. And we were talking, and you could see they wanted more, but they just hadn't been, had the opportunity. So I said, hey, would you guys want to join a Bible study? And they said, yeah, which one? And I was like, mine. And they said, well, when does it mean? I said, when do you want it to mean? It's going to be us.
It's just that easy, right? Or maybe it's not, it's just that simple. It might not be that easy, but it's just that simple. And so it was. All right. And so you're finishing your junior year. Now you're watching St. Paul's crest out of COVID. What are some things you saw coming out of COVID that you felt were particularly interesting, engaging, positive, whatever the right way to say that is? Because that had to be a bit of a struggle. Yeah, it was definitely, it had diminished. Because I'm one of the few people who remember it pre-COVID. Right. And I would say, honestly, now, this year and last year are the first time we're back to what it was. Yeah, when I look at the numbers, this is the first time we're back to it numerically, absolutely, yeah. So there was, coming out of it was just great to kind of see the world breathing again, and people just coming in naturally, and a lot less fear about illness, honestly. And yeah, absolutely. Just having the time and the opportunities to explore their faith again as an option where we're not sitting roped off and sectioned off. And so it was really, beautiful to see people come in a way that they couldn't for the majority of my college career. It was, St. Paul's was starting to flourish again. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're watching all that happen. You're graduating with a degree in? Marketing, supply chain, and operations. Oh, my God. How my toothpaste gets to the Walgreens, that sort of thing. Yeah. Correct. And why, and making it nice so I want to buy it. That's a disrespectful way of saying it, but we get it. Now, you finish that degree. You've obviously been in leadership, and you become a pastoral intern. What was that process like for you? Oh, well, this was one of the more interesting ones. It's not quite how it is nowadays with the internship. It's the standard has shifted. The standard has changed. So
like I said, Father Nielsen knew who I was. He knew my face. He saw me around here. But I was honestly known as Susie's friend.
Okay.
Because him and the Sweet Licks are good friends. He went to college with her dad.
Yep, absolutely.
And
they have a long
long history. And so it's a great thing to be known as Susie's friend. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning of my junior year, he learned my name, which was great and terrifying. It was, you felt good about yourself. Father Nielsen is a very holy man. And
good, great holy man. He wanted to know your name, but then he might ask you to do things.
Yes. And so as soon as he knew my name, I got the first blessing to be an intern.
Oh, yes, I've heard of this.
Yes, he would just pick random people and give them a blessing at morning coffee to do the internship.
God give you the grace to be the intern.
And I thought it was hilarious. I was like, Father,
it is hilarious. It's beautiful and hilarious.
This is very endearing, but I'm not doing that. And
you're like, no, thank you. No, thank you for the blessing.
Well, I took the blessing because it's
well, what's the difference?
But I'll
take the blessing, but not for that.
But I wasn't planning on interning.
Okay.
So intern applications roll around.
I'm ordering the Happy Meal, but I'm not eating the fries, that kind of thing.
Sure. And I don't apply. I have a couple. Right. I've been interning.
What do you want to do if you're not going to be an intern? What do you want to do?
So I'd applied to Epic because what else does someone do in Madison? I wanted to stay in Madison for
you really have fallen in love with the city.
Well, I fell in love with my friends.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
And so I wanted to stay here at least one more year when they were all doing their senior year.
Oh, sure. School. Of course.
And I was like, this is just a good thing, especially with COVID, kind of had an interesting college experience.
Yeah. You'd almost lose 2 years if you left. So okay, very good. You want to stay in the city?
Stay in the city. So I had been interning with Trek Bicycles for the last year and a half. Yep. And I love athletics. Fun. It was very fun.
Yes, you love. We'll get to sport and all that.
That was an option. And then I also applied to Epic because I knew that it was a great opportunity to gain a lot of experience and gain new skills right out of college that you can't really do anywhere else.
Absolutely.
And so I applied to Epic, got a job offer, and right around the same time, they're doing the internship interviews. And Father Tim, then parochial vicar.
Because you are when Father Luke Seisey as the vicar leaves and Father Tim Mergen comes.
And he says, we want you to apply. And I'm like, oh, Father, I missed the deadline. Like I didn't apply. And he goes, that's okay. Just come interview. Just show up, interview. And I know you're still not really thinking about this, but like, we'll see where it goes.
Sets the bar low.
Mm-hmm. And then I started to think, and then during this time between discipleship with Olivia, seeing the new group of Focus missionaries come about and see how that worked, I'm like, okay. And I was to a point in my faith where, right, if Jesus is who he says he is, then this is everything.
Right,
and, one soul is worth everything.
Amen.
So I was kind of starting to think along those lines and really wanting to be a saint and what that was going to look like for me. And so then I actually was considering this and then took it to prayer. And there were a couple moments where I was like, okay, I think that this is what God is asking of me.
Wow.
So I called my oldest sister Carly, and she is like, oh no, don't do it. She just
none of your sisters became, even though they were very St. Paul's connected and around, not interns.
Not interns.
And she's
like,
don't do it.
Don't do it. I don't think you want it. She also saw a different side of St. Paul's when they were figuring it out with the new building and things like that.
That had to be really tough.
Yes. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I'm still thinking about it. Called her up again and I said, I think I'm supposed to do this. And she said, well, actually said, I know I'm supposed to do this. She said, if you know, then you have to do it. Because if it's God's will, you should do it. So then the interview is passed, but I am still waiting to hear back. It's right before spring break to hear if I got the internship. But Epic needs to know my answer. And so I go to Helena and I say, Helena, I know that you're not supposed to tell me yet, but I need to know if I have the internship because otherwise I might take this job.
Yeah.
And so she goes, okay, you can't say until after spring break, but yes, you have the internship. And I was like, okay, great.
And so it was.
Wow.
You feel very peaceful about that, or super fired up, or it's just like, this is what's happening next?
Yeah, I was excited. I knew who I was going to be working with on some parts, not like the whole intern list, but the focus missionaries that I'd be working with.
You knew the missionaries, and when you were told you were going to be an intern, you were told you're going to be this kind of intern, or that hadn't yet been?
Yes, I was told I was going to be the freshman intern, which was my first choice. And Greg Lyon and I, who was my male counterpart, we had made a pact that we would do.
You were in
we
the
would do
world
it.
of Greg.
Yes, we would do it if the other one did it.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense.
The internship. So,
because Greg Lyon, now focus missionary extraordinaire, formerly intern extraordinaire, formerly student of some legend.
Yes.
Unique personality with great zeal for our Lord, in addition to other odd things, unique things.
Yes.
And you and he became friends.
Yeah.
Or like you were in the same circle of friends.
Yeah, kind of the same circle of friends, a little bit of overlap. And then when we were interviewing, because we were in that same circle, we were like, okay, we just met up one day and we talked. We both knew that we wanted the freshman internship, and we thought we could do something pretty well together. We thought we complemented each other in some way. So kind of were like, this would be really fun if we did it together. And so we just made that pact, and it
so it was. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do that summer?
That summer, I am interning for Trek still.
Fun.
Kept it as long as they would let me. It was between here and home.
Was it fun?
It was fun.
I just people who've worked for, was this Trek or Trek Travel or? It
was Trek. It was in their custom bikes. So I was working on $20,000 to $30,000 bikes.
Bicycles. Mm-hmm. How to market them.
I was supply chain, actually.
Supply chaining them.
Yes.
Fascinating. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's a bit of an aside, but you're doing that fun thing. You're in your profession. You come to the internship. Now, the FIGs had been started before this, but not much.
Yes, we were the third year of FIGs. And away you go. Yes. What was that year like? It was great. I mean, having Greg as your counterpart was wild. He was
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. So good at drawing people in. He showed me so many things and how to evangelize. And it was that second year of that round of focus missionaries and Father Tim and Helena. And so St. Paul's kind of had their feet under them again. COVID was over.
Yes.
And we were running full steam ahead. And that was great for us as interns because we were just stepping into a pretty smooth machine, but one that also gave us a lot of freedom, a lot of opportunity to take things and make them whatever we thought.
Right.
And
so you did. You kind of, would you say you rewrote or rebuilt, or you just grew the freshman apostolate? How would you say that?
We did rewrite it, and then I don't think we grew it, but it grew.
It grew. Mm-hmm. It grew. And then how do you become the director of marketing? Because you're doing your internship. It's a fantastic year, fabulous people, and it's coming to a close. And then what happens?
Yeah, once again, I'm at morning coffee, and Father Eric is just talking to me back by the coffee machine, and he's asking me about next year, and I was like, well, I'm not sure. I'm applying to Focus. I'd grown really close with the Focus missionaries of that year, our stand-in executive producer over here, of course.
Erica Gannon. Mm-hmm. She was a missionary in those days. She was a missionary. That's fantastic.
So they had kind of put that on my mind, and I was loving the year of mission. I was just, seeing the fruits of giving yourself in this totally radical way that you kind of only can in this short time after college. So I was applied to Focus, and then he goes, I just want you to stay here and work for me. And I was like, well, that's great, Father, but that's not exactly what I can tell my dad when he's like, what are you doing next year?
Bones to this here,
Yeah. He said, no, I'm going to be the director of marketing, and I'll be a full-time job. And there was a girl who was already doing it full-time. She stayed on a year after her internship.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I think we can expand it a little bit and give you an opportunity to make it your own and really help St. Paul's, as it was beginning to explode again out of COVID, bring it to more people and help our donors as well to see what's going on here.
Right. So now you've been the director of marketing for how long?
2.5 years.
I'm moving into your third year. So what have you seen in those intervening years?
Oh, well, St. Paul's is, it's grown more than I knew that it could, honestly, in that amount of time.
Yeah.
Now knowing we have 900 students in Bible studies, 90 Bible studies.
929, yes.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Very exciting.
So that has been really cool. Seeing Father Nielsen leave the way that he did with great humility. And
tremendous humility. You might not have this. I remember I was called to a community night dinner, and after dinner we went over to the house you lived, and I just watched Father Nielsen sit down on the couch right next to you and put his arm around you. I don't remember what movie we watched. It was...
Yeah, I honestly don't remember that. But
I said, no, the affection and grace that he had was something that was very, very beautiful.
Yeah, so watching that and then seeing St. Paul's move into your tenure has been, really something you don't normally get to see, to watch.
That's true.
It is a business, but it's also, so much more. And so to watch it go through a new iteration and to see the internship expand the way that it has been really exciting as someone who holds it very close to my own heart and to my own faith.
You loved your time as an intern.
Mm-hmm.
You have been close to last year's interns and this year's interns in a particular way.
Yes.
And you know a number of next year's interns, which are expanding to 16.
Yes.
So that's quite an outrageous endeavor.
Yes.
Holy boldness or madness?
Is there a difference? It's hard to tell.
That's a great question. One is successful, one is not.
So I think we'll see.
If it works, it was holy boldness.
Yes.
If it doesn't, he's just a mad fool.
But I appreciate that we're taking the holy boldness.
Oh, thank you.
And then we'll see where it goes.
Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, the worst that happens is we pare it back a little bit the next year, which is not an issue at all.
I don't think so anyways. Now, in the midst of all of this, you're watching it expand. You saw some really titanic personalities move through St. Paul's. Mm-hmm. The priest who remade St. Paul's into one of the most dynamic apostolates in the nation and was here for 17 years. Greg Lyon, who is not an insignificant figure in his personality and his the remaking of the freshman apostolate. A number of focus missionaries who are no slouches, let's just put it like that, who are impactful and who have remained here as well. You might be considered part of, is this appropriate? You're a legacy St. Paulser now, you've got a couple years out. Talk a little bit about that perspective. You're now not a student, in your third year, not a student, but still intimately involved in the apostolate. What's that like? You're an alumni like any other alumni, but you're also deeply tied to the mission. What's that like? That sounds like a frankly intense experience.
It is. I would say it's a more intense experience than most people get to have here at St. Paul's.
Because you're a sophomore, something has been this way since the dawn of time. You don't know any different. You might hear of people pass and all that, but you've lived it in the flesh.
Yeah, it has been a really good opportunity to, how would I put this? See how many lives can be changed and how important every person is, but how also it just has to continue on, go to the next time. You always say that the only way you've failed is if we never leave.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see people going out to really see the full circle of things and what St. Paul's can really do in someone's life, not just for their time in college, but for their entire life.
Lifelong mission.
So I would say I have that unique perspective.
Yeah, you
that's
really
been really beautiful to see, and to see so many of my friends go about their life, whether that be in a more missionary role, a lot of focus missionary friends, a lot of intern friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just as mothers, as someone in the workforce, to see them take this thing that we all kind of gained together, really was a culture and community thing that allowed us to go forward in our lives of faith.
Yes, indeed, go forward, express our faith in our own way. And I think it's this beautiful thing where you get a position where you can still be close to this thing that had so much impact on your life and the lives of your friends, and then watch them incarnated in all those different kinds of ways. And that gives you a unique perspective on all these kinds of things. Do you feel that you have the space to do your own personal mission? Because when your profession is so tied up in supporting the mission, how do you express the mission yourself in your own life?
Yes. Well, luckily, when I took the job and with Father Nielsen, and then of course with you as well, you guys have given me space to keep up my own apostolate of Bible studies and discipleship.
Yeah.
So I still have a good number of disciples who are here at St. Paul's. And those girls that I began walking with my junior year, and then especially my next intern year, are now just graduated or seniors.
Right.
And so that has been awesome to be able to be with them throughout the whole time.
Isn't it beautiful to watch? It's such a privilege to be with people in that spot. Yeah, it's wonderful.
And then, the main discipleship, which is, I think, the goal of every discipleship relationship, is just to be friends for your entire life and friends that are pursuing sanctity and the Lord together. And that I feel free to do in any.
You seem to have great freedom in pursuing friendship. Now, you like to pursue friendship in the world of, you said it rightly, athletics.
It's true.
Not necessarily sports, but athletics. Tell us about that.
Yeah. In high school and growing up, I was just always really into sports of any type. Took right after my sisters.
You are competitive.
I am very
Like
competitive.
winning.
I do like to win. I do like to win. Or should I say, I don't like to lose.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
And so then, right, you're done with high school. My soccer season finished up. And I was like, well, this is something I really enjoy and I'd like to continue. So started running that summer.
Which is what soccer mostly is, running with a few bits of interesting things.
And so then coming into college, you have a lot of free time. And so I really...
Yeah, tell the students that. You have tons of free time.
You do. I really dove into just fitness and working out and going. We had the NIC was non-existent.
Right.
It was knocked down, so we were in the bottom floor of OG.
Not awesome.
Not awesome, but there was like 6 of us who would show up every morning at 6 a.m., never learned their names. We would all go to our own random things, but you're like, okay, these
are the people who are dedicated at 6 a.m. in this dingy basement. Mm-hmm. And you were part of the Run Club. Are you the founding of the Run Club?
I was not the founding.
Okay.
The founding father. That was Henry Keefe.
Henry Keefe.
He founded it during COVID, so I was home. But then when I came back my sophomore year, I joined right away.
Now, the Run Club has a competitor called Formal Fridays.
It does.
Does it? It is. You feel the competition?
I wouldn't say it's a competitor. No.
Okay, some of your runmates do feel that way, but they can work it out themselves.
They can.
This is just good people doing their own thing because you've met and made friendships and brought people to faith through the Run Club. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those are some fun things to do. Right? Now, lastly, your pastor is dragging you off to Mexico City here in a few days.
Yes, he is.
How do you feel about that?
I'm very excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Mexico?
Once.
Mm-hmm. Not to...
No, I was 4. It was for my aunt's wedding.
So we're going to forge ourselves with a great pilgrimage to the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Do you have any expectations for this pilgrimage?
No, I don't have any particular expectations. I think it's going to be beautiful. And every time you go to a Marian apparition site, I think that normally you have just a deeper experience with the Lord and our Mother. So that is always good, and I look forward to that. But you never know what they're gonna reveal to you.
You never know what will come when it's there. And plus, you and I met essentially on a trip to World Youth Day.
Yes.
You were like the coordinator for World Youth Day, and at the almost literally the 0 hour, Father Nielsen bounced out and I come.
Yes.
And that was wild. Do you have any fun memories from Portugal World Youth Day?
Oh, I mean, the entire thing. We were kind of in it together because we both got thrown in a little late. And thank goodness you had been to a World Youth Day before. That was very helpful for me and for the whole trip.
I'm glad you felt that way because I felt it was both helpful and not because this World Youth Day was so different. It's like, I'm so disoriented. I don't know what's going on.
We had no idea because what I knew of World Youth Day was nothing like the World Youth Day that we experienced.
That is correct.
But it really bonded the people. It was one of those experiences where everyone comes out closer to each other and
They
to
really
the
did
Lord.
happen, didn't it? Yeah, much closer to the Lord and to one another and all those mad experiences.
Sleeping on the dirt was, incredible.
It was a great
When else do you get to do that?
Sleeping on the surface of Mars, on Earth.
Yeah, when we actually, a group of us, you, me, and about 3 or 4 others, took a walk when we were there. It was heat index of 115.
Yeah, it was grim.
And we walked as close as we could to the ocean.
Yeah, which was not close.
It was not close, just because we were looking for any way to distract ourselves in this 20 hours.
God awful heat, trying to have some kind of prayer life, trying to say the rosary in the midst, all this. Guadalupe will be much nicer than that, but all these things to stretch ourselves. And that's one thing I always appreciate, Kennedy, is you always know how to push yourself in pursuit of the faith. So thank you for your time today. Do you have any special message for the people?
I would just say that the goal of our lives is to be saints. So let's keep pursuing that together.
So, well, thank you very much. And to all the good people, this is Kennedy. She does all the hard work to make Vox Pauli look nice and record it every week. We love her so much. Glad you got a chance to meet her, Kennedy. Thank you very much. To all of you, thank you much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.